after a recent sexting scandal at his former university. Our next author relegated himself to the shadows, only to capitalize on his newfound fame by releasing his new text, a commentary on cell phone and online culture. Here, reading an excerpt from his newest book, The Art of the Dick Pic, please welcome Professor Peter Richard Johnson.
Thank you. Very happy to be here tonight. Very excited to read my new text. Now, as a historian focusing on arts and literature, I find aberrant our disregard of elegance in this disposable culture. It was but a century ago that a private image might be constructed by a master artisan, stroking the canvas with brush and intellect alike. The children of now, with their iPhones and their Terry Richardsons, know not of what constitutes beauty, particularly in the framing of genitalia. Due to recent events, and more importantly, an ongoing investigation into the nature of text messages originating from my cellular telephone, I have composed an opuscule in an attempt to enumerate the aesthetic value of a phallic photo. Particularly that in the proper conditions, one can supersede the label of pornography and achieve the mantle that one may consider art. When one invests time and common sense in the production of an image, one may leave the rank of sex and join that of the Vitruvian Man and Michelangelo's David. Thus, I present to you an excerpt from my newest work, The Art of the Dick Pic. Quick aside, the publisher chose that title. I wished to name it Fond Memories. Tonight's reading will be from a chapter entitled The 4 C's of Pictures. Studies have shown that somewhere in the realm of 98% of images containing a tallywhacker are tossed aside. The same cannot be said for those featuring the female body, as it may be considered inherently pleasing to observe, barring the presence of penetration, of course. The penis in its unfiltered state is not appealing as much as it is an inconvenience, regardless of the presence of circumcision. But by following my 4 C's of pictures, one will be on your way to being a regular Annie Leibovitz. That I'm cocksure. Content. Begin by thinking outside of the cocks. What would you like to see alongside the pecker? Some rings, particular articles of clothing perhaps? Remember, what is present is not only a representation of you, but also of your winky. It would be unbecoming then to include any of the following. Pictures of other women or men, especially a parent or other loved one. You may decide to add a picture of the recipient as a sort of personal touch. Condom. You wouldn't wear a tuxedo if you're going to a barbecue. Anything that might be linked back to you. This includes, but is not limited to, distinguishing birthmarks, personalized underwear, and the face. Trust me, that can come back to haunt you. In other words, you want not to create a facsimile, but a simulacrum. Do not treat this as a picture day in elementary school, but rather the portrait session of a god. Moving on. The second C, composure. There's a time and place to depict your John Thomas in a verisimilitude, but this is not one of them. You must use forced perspective to your advantage, not to generate a falsely aggrandized appearance, but a grandiose presence. Try positioning the camera in an unfamiliar angle to produce the desired effect. Utilize mirrors to observe through the lens of your device, but never in the image itself. Don't be afraid to experiment. Use a timed shot and run in front of the camera. A long exposure and a helicopter motion can also manufacture a delightful shot. Just the shaft or just the tip. The options are truly endless, so long as you adhere to the other C's as well. Color. Not of the PP itself, but the surrounding areas. Lighting is a truly make or break matter as it relates to our rods. In addition to the angle of the camera, think about the angle of the light source itself. What kind of shadow will it create and how will it affect the resulting image? Perhaps you want no shadows. in which case you might consider adding additional light sources. Go with something warm. You don't want that fluorescent look. I know it's a dirty word, but Instagram filters are your friend. Add some black and white or some sepia tone to produce a truly remarkable dawn. And no flash, for fuck's sake. The last C, cock. Lastly, our composition is in need of its star. But there's more to consider than just hanging out. Apply a base makeup layer to truly doll it up. There's no room for shine here, as the presence of oil fixes a salacious connotation. And I know it's hard, but you can't be. An erection is lewd and animalistic, a barbaric instinct that is not a tease, but a harassment. Ideally, you would have about an 80% chub. Not quite there yet, but you could be. Do not fret if you do not have much to show down there. Use that to your advantage. A small dick can tell a big story. And lastly, you want to snap your picture, so to demonstrate, they made me put a sock on it. There we go. Out and about, and you're going to want to hold it just lightly, just a little bit of support. You can do a free-balling thing, but I like the personality of a hand in there. Then you're going to want to get out your camera phone, which conveniently is backstage. And then you're going to want to get to a weird angle. Maybe something like this, underneath. Something that says, you know what you're doing. And with any luck, you will have a photo worthy of hanging above a fireplace or at the MoMA. Thank you very much.
Sorry, just 80% chub. Small dick, big story. Professor Peter Richard Johnson, everyone.